I need to paint my stairs. And that is what this video is about. Here are my stairs, and the first thing to note about them is that they are really plentiful. We've got a lot of stairs going on in this flat, which goes part of the way to explaining why, after 5 years of living here, they still look like this. Doing anything to them is just such a big and messy and disruptive job that it's a really easy thing to want to avoid. Until today! That being said, of course, I have actually already done quite a lot to these stairs since moving in. When I first got the keys to the flat, it was basically all carpeted in a particularly shitty, bluey, grey landlord special carpet, which obviously needed ripping up. And then there was underlay and just an absolute shit ton of nails and staples jammed into these steps, as well as years worth of paint underneath, which I had to melt off with a heat gun whilst being incredibly paranoid that I was about to burn the whole building down. The walls were all a manky magnolia colour. All of the woodwork and skirting and spindles were like a yellowing white gloss paint. And this part of the banister was actually fully split in two here, which I did get someone to mend shortly after moving in because I did not want to be falling to my death down this staircase. So I have done a lot of stripping, yanking out of staples, filling of holes, sanding and painting already in this space. The walls are now painted white, as is all of the woodwork, and I've gotten as far as the priming stage on these steps. Though I fear I will have to resand and reprime these before I can actually paint them, because it's been literal years since I did it, and there have been many muddy sets of shoes walking through here since then. On this little landing, which connects the 3 sets of stairs and thus gets the most foot traffic, lives Sunday's litter tray, which is admittedly a slightly inconvenient place for it. However, it is also the least inconvenient place for it in the whole flat, so it will be staying here. I had a builder install this shelf a couple of years ago, which I primed and never painted, and I currently have this bin here, which is eventually going to live in the downstairs hallway once that's finished. So for now, let me get this out of the way and put it in my art room. And let's talk about the plan. The plan is actually pretty simple for this space. I just need to finish what I started and go with the thing that I've always wanted to do, which is paint the stairs green. Specifically, we're going with this paint in this shade of green, which I ordered online a couple of weeks ago and which I'm hoping that I have here in this tin. Though I've got to say I am slightly concerned by the lack of labelling going on here, so I guess we will see. I want to paint the shelf and I want to add a functional floor covering to this landing area. I also want to get some art up on the panelled wall going up the stairs, though I'm not quite sure what that looks like yet. And I'm hoping to add a curtain here too, which we will be DIYing later on in this video. I also need to give a glow up to the wooden stair banister because it was pretty messed up when I moved in, all scuffed and paint splattered. Then I made it even more messed up when I was painting the spindles a couple of years ago and just threw caution to the wind and did it in the messiest way possible. I remember thinking at the time that I was doing a particularly slapdash job on it, and that when I actually came to finishing the banister, I would resent my past self for not doing a better job, and I can say now that I do. So annoyingly, my chickens have come home to roost, and I'm just hoping that I can make amends and fix my past mistakes. And actually, starting on this banister is probably the first logical step to take in tackling this makeover. So let me get my overalls on and we can get going. At the end of my recent upstairs hallway makeover, I asked for opinions in the comments on how I should refinish this banister because I really had no clue. And thank you so much to everyone who commented with advice. It was really helpful and just amazing to me that now I have this group think that I can tap into with questions, which is wonderful because quite a lot of the time it's just me trying to figure things out on my own. A few people suggested that I should paint it, and to be honest, that option really does appeal to me because it seems like the easiest way to do it, and God knows I love an easy option. However, I do think it would be a real shame to cover up this beautiful original wood if I can save it. So instead I'm going to go with the possibly false sense of confidence given to me by this commenter. Thank you so much WetPaint86 for your valuable comment, and I'm going to try sanding it back and restaining it. And I have gathered some of the materials that I'm hoping I will need to do this. I even bought a new hand sander because mine broke a couple of years ago and I never replaced it. Until now, the comment mentioned the importance of cleaning this first with a degreaser. So I looked through my stocks and found that I had sugar soap, did some very thorough online research to check that this would work, and here we are. I think what I'm going to do is start out just doing quite a small section to check that it can be done well before I commit to doing the whole long banister, because if this isn't going to work and I'm going to end up just painting it in the end, it's better that I figure that out quickly. So I'm going to mix this up with some warm water. I think it's like 1 part this to 3 parts water. I honestly just eyeball it. Got my magnolias because you always want to wear gloves when you're using chemically things. That's just a really obvious tip that I sometimes do not follow, but I will be in the future because safety is important. So I'm just going to give this top section of the banister a good clean with my sugar soap and this lovely sponge here. Okay, I'm going to hope that that's suitably degreased. And I think it already looks a bit better. I don't know if that's just a placebo effect though. And now it's time for the messy part, which is obviously the sanding. I'm going to do this with a combo of the hand sander and also just sandpaper to get in all the nooks and crannies. And I'm just going to see how well I can get this to come up. Then we can assess whether or not we proceed with the staining or if this is a paint job. Okay, this job requires sturdier gloves, goggles and a mask. It's a bit of a flimsy mask to be honest, but it's the best that I've got. And I'm going to start out by testing the horsepower on my new sander because, you know, it's a new toy and it wants to be played with. See? It is a Von Howell's sander, which is not a brand that I have anything from, but it wasn't too expensive and it had good reviews on B&Q, which is why I went for it. And it's got a dust thing, which I also wanted. Right, let's do it. Sunday, you're gonna not want to be here when I do this because it's gonna be loud. So I don't know where you want to go. Why didn't you go out the back? Do I look insane? Oh, it stresses me out. This dust bag works well. Does that look okay? I don't really know. The vibrations make me feel weird. The paint comes off, it just takes a bit of welly, which is good news. So I'm going to plug in and fully sand this section that I've prepped, and then we'll see what we think about stain. Okay, it's a short while later and I am boiling. I've just finished sanding this section and I think it's come out pretty nice. I mean, it looks a bit patchy and off-coloured, but it feels really good. And hopefully once I get to staining it, the patchiness will get hidden away. Okay, so I've just finished cleaning the rest of this banister and I have towel dried it, but I'm waiting for it to fully dry before I get to sanding. Feeling encouraged by how that top bit's looking. So smooth, it's so smooth. I've also decided to come to a compromise with the underside of this, which as you can see has a lot of paint splattering, which is just a real fiddly pain to try and sand. So I am going to do a fresh lick of paint on all of these spindles and also paint the underside of the wooden banister so that that will all be white and the top will all be a nice stained wood. Then it will look a lot neater from this vantage point. I did want to avoid having to repaint all of the woodwork, but now I've seen the skirting board that's yellowing and there's some chipping on the spindles and elsewhere. I do think I'm going to do at least a touch-up coat of the white on most of the wood in this space. So at the moment we're adding things to the to-do list more so than we are ticking them off, but it's coming along. I'm going to have a quick 10-minute sit-down lunch break, and then when I get back this should be fully dry and I can sand it. god. I feel truly disgusting. So hot. And look, I have a load of muck on my face. But I did it. I sanded the whole banister. And look how nicely it's come up. I feel like it's a few different types of wood though. This sanded back more to like a pine than the top bit did, even though I did the same amount of sanding on all of it. So I wonder if this has been replaced at a later date. But it's done. And I'm quite pleased with myself because I didn't think I was going to get that much done today. But now I am desperate for a shower. So I'm going to hoover up all this dust, tidy what I can, clean myself, and then I'll catch you back here tomorrow. It's the next day and I'm about to stain the hell out of this banister. Having never stained the banister before, I'm a bit concerned, especially since there does seem to be that dual tone of wood. And also looking at it this morning, I can see that it's a little bit patchy where I've sanded it, and I did consider going back in and resanding it this morning before I stain it, but honestly I just want to not do that so much that I've decided I'm not going to. The thing I really wanted was to get all of that paint splatter off it, and that has very much been achieved. So a bit of a patchy stain job, that's the next person who lives here's problem. I bought some stain, which is Little Fair's wood stain in the colour dark walnut, because I do think that this banister suits being a darker wood, and I went for this one because it's water-based and so it shouldn't smell and is non-toxic, etc. It tells me to shake it, so that's what I will do. The application instructions on the back of this say that the first coat of stain should be applied liberally along the grain with a good quality brush. I've got this brush. I don't know whether it is a good quality brush. That's a bit subjective, isn't it? It also says to work quickly and confidently, which is a bit stressful because I don't know if I feel quick or confident today, but it says this is good because it will help you maintain a wet edge and avoid overlapping, which kind of makes sense to me. So I'm going to try and do this quickly and confidently. We'll see how well I do. I brought a pie dish from my kitchen to pour the stain into to work from, and I've also got some little scrap rags to wipe off the excess. So let me get my quick and confident hat on and start on this process. It actually looks well tasty in there. Ooh. Be quick, be confident. It definitely is a bit knotted and patchy looking, but I'm just gonna say it adds character and we move on. I've got to say, it's hard to do this particularly quickly. There's a lot of surface area here and I don't want to miss bits. I'm actually finding that the stain is just highlighting the imperfections in the wood because I didn't sand the banister down enough to get rid of all of the little nicks and dents that were in it, nor did I want to. Like, look at all these dents from 120 years worth of use. It would be a shame to get rid of them, really, I think. I don't ask for perfection in my stair banister in the same way that I don't ask for perfection in myself. I definitely have not been avoiding overlapping as I was told to do. In fact, I have been overlapping a lot. I feel like the next time that I come to stain a banister, I'll be a lot better at it than I'm being now because I'm learning on the job and giving myself low pressure stakes. Not caring too much if it comes out perfect because I know full well that I'm an amateur at this, and that's obviously going to show up in my handiwork, isn't it? I think certainly this bottom bit of the banister is going to need a second coat because it's so much lighter than the top of it. Okay, first coat done and it's drying. It's currently all sorts of different colours, which is interesting. I don't hate it though. This darker colours come out really nice. So I think I won't need to do another coat on any of this top bit. But once that lower bit's dry, I will do another coat on that bit to try and even out these colours a bit. So I'm going to leave this to dry for a couple of hours. Then I'm going to go back in, do the second coat on that lower bit, and then leave it all to dry overnight. And we can come back in a couple of days' time to do the lacquer. Now though, because I've still got a bit of time today, I was thinking, what other job can I get ticked off the list? no point repainting these spindles until all of this business is sorted. But there's nothing stopping me doing the touch-ups I need to do on the paint of the skirting boards, and I'm just gonna go over all of the ones going up and down the stairs and on this landing, and then I can also put a coat of paint on the shelf that you're on right now, and that's just going to be white as well. Sorry to be boring. This is the bit that I've been excited to do because it's so yellow where that bin's been there. It's going to look so much better with a fresh coat of white. I think this is the third time I've painted these skirting boards since moving in. And even though I always use the non-yellowing white gloss paint, it always does yellow eventually, especially the areas that aren't in direct sunlight. But hopefully this will be the last time I paint them, and then they can all yellow together at the same rate. Okay, so that is all of the skirting boards freshened up, and it has actually made quite a big difference. It feels less grimy in here now. Also, I know I was just saying that I was going to paint this shelf white, but I have actually changed my mind in the last 30 minutes, and I've decided to paint it with this blue colour, which is the same colour that I painted the window frame in my toilet, which you can actually see from this vantage point that I'm sitting at here. So I thought it might be nice to bring it back in over here. Also, it's just more fun to paint something not white. Luckily, I have already put MDF primer on this in the past, so now we can just go straight in with the paint. I've done 1.5 coats, and now I'm leaving it to dry, and it will need another coat. But you get the general gist. I think it looks better now that those ugly metal brackets on the underside are painted. I'm also thinking maybe I want to do a blue piece of art to go on this to kind of make the blue make more sense. But yeah, gonna let this dry and then do another coat on that. But apart from that, I'm basically done for today. So I will catch you in a couple of days' time to continue. It's a whole new day, and I am back here in my hallway. Today we're doing some more gloss painting, specifically of my banister spindles, which I did mess up a little bit when I was doing the stain on the banister top. Yesterday I did actually test out how the lacquer coat that I'm going to do on the top of this is going to look, and it basically looks the same, it's just a bit more protected. I did also pop a coat of lacquer on my blue shelf as well, just so that's nicely sealed in. And I was going to carry on and lacquer the whole of this today, but I thought since I'm painting the undersides of it white, maybe it makes sense to do the painting first, because it doesn't really matter if the lacquer overspills onto the paint on the underside of this, but it will matter if the paint overspills onto the top. So I'm going to be going around and carefully painting the whole underside of this banister, all of the spindles, and then this bottom strip where the spindles connect to the floor. So I'm going to be cleaning, sanding and painting all the way down this, and I think it's going to take quite a long time. So I'm going to put some music on and just try and enjoy the process. It's a short while later, and as I came to sand the side of this step, it occurred to me that it doesn't make sense to just sand one small portion of it at a time. So I've had to adjust my plans today, get my electric sander back out. I'm just going to do all of the sanding that I need to do on these steps so that I don't have to do this again after today, because it makes just such a huge mess. Okay, it's a couple of hours later and I've done all of the sanding. I didn't do a hugely thorough job everywhere because honestly I don't have the will to do that. But I have rough sanded all of the steps now, all of these crevices. The spindles are ready to paint, so I'm going to get going with the white gloss and do all of these, all of that. Only it's not going to look hugely different because obviously they already are white. It's just going to be tidier and non-chipped. So after checking all of my footage, apparently this was the last time that I spoke to camera for the rest of this day. And that's because the seemingly small task of me tidying up these rails actually took me all of this day and then the 2 days following, which I didn't have the heart to film because it was just a lot of me painting white things white, and there's only so much of that I'm sure you can take. The underside of the banister needed 1 coat of wood primer and 2 coats of paint, so I had to keep going back to that and leaving dry dry time in between. The spindles were just a pig and took forever to cover because there's so many little surfaces on each of them, but I did also manage to cram in some paint touch-ups on the walls where they were needed, especially around that shelf that I painted blue because I was a bit messy with it. And I did put a fresh coat of primer over all of the steps too. And that leads us to today, and all I've got left to do on this banister now is peel off this tape, hope I haven't left too many paint marks underneath, and then lacquer all of this wood on top of it. And then finally this element of this makeover will be done and we can move on to funner things. It's a new day, the banister is finished, and funner things can start now with my stair curtain DIY project. And there is a little bit of a backstory behind this, so let me take you back to 2020 and this cringy ass black tool video that I filmed and currently have hidden on my channel because nobody can watch it in its entirety. When I first moved into this flat, there was a curtain pole hanging right here, and I've got to say I was such a hater in that video and I completely poo-pooed the idea of having a curtain pole in this location as really silly and something that nobody would want. Fast forward 5 years and what am I about to do? Install a curtain pole exactly here, because as it turns out this is a very drafty hallway and having a curtain there to cut out the drafts coming from downstairs actually makes good sense. So this is a very rare example of me being wrong and testament to listening to the wisdom of the people who lived in this space before you, because they probably know some things that you don't know. One thing I will be doing differently though is the curtain pole I'm hanging is one of these kind of D-shaped ones because I didn't want to drill into the dodgy wall, and using this one means that I only have to put screws into the wood down there, which seems like a safer option to me. So let me get this up and then we will discuss further. The curtain pole is up. And now let's talk curtain. Anyone who watched my recent thrift haul video will recognise this very, very long runner rug, which I got not that long ago on eBay for £25. And the basic idea with this is that it's gonna go precisely where this is, like so, because it's pretty much exactly double the length of the height of this space. So it adds a double weight barrier. It is like a woven wool fabric too, so I think that that will work out quite well. However, as it stands, it does very much look like a rug hanging on a pole. So I want to transform it into more of a recognisably curtainy curtain. And how am I going to do that? Well, with the addition of some curtain tabs, which I lovingly hand sewed yesterday with the help of today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Did you know that Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives? Because it is. And did you also know that it features thousands of classes led by industry experts across a huge variety of creative fields? Because it does. Whether you're trying to enhance your skills in pattern cutting, video editing, or illustration, Skillshare has a class for you. To make my little curtain tabs here, I actually searched up curtain on the Skillshare website and came across this set of classes by Laura Lamb. Across 8 short classes, Laura shows the full process of hand making a really lovely pair of linen tab top curtains with no sewing machine needed, which was music to my ears because I absolutely despise getting my sewing machine out. Of course, for this DIY, I only needed to make the tabs, not the full curtains, but finding and skipping to the correct bit of the class was super easy, and I was able to get all of these made without hassle in a couple of hours. So if you're looking to make some curtains too, or if you're wanting other creative guidance or inspiration, tap into Skillshare's huge array of resources and see what you could learn. You can do that by following the link in this video's description. The first 500 people to use my link will receive a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. So get started today, and thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to this curtain. So let's move on to the sewing desk, aka my bed. I must admit, I'm not actually fully sure on how it is that I'm doing this, but I'm starting out by folding it perfectly in 2. It's so long, it's actually really difficult to work with. So I need to attach my tabs along this this halfway mark here. I made these out of some scrap vintage tablecloth linen that I had. It's the same stuff that I bought from a charity shop when I made my curtain accessories in my bedroom. I just have a load of it left over, which I'm going to use as a trim across the top edge of this. You can actually see that this tab does have some little floral embroidery on it because it was a tablecloth that had one little corner of embroidery, and I thought I might as well include it. It's a nice little added touch of something. So I want this to be attached to this so that I can attach these to this, but this is quite flimsy fabric, so I want something on the back to stiffen it up. And I do actually have this roll of trim, which I also got from a charity shop a while ago and I've just been using for various things, and this is nice and sturdy. So what I'm thinking I'll do is have 2 strips of these on either side of the curtain to make sure that where I'm sewing through is nice and strong. I can wrap the tape in my white linen so that it will match my tabs, and then I can attach the tabs on the undersides of each of these on either side and then sew the whole thing through the rug. And that will mean that if I ever want to dismantle this curtain and use this fabric for something else, I just have to do some unpicking of this top bit and then this whole rug is intact. We're hand sewing, of course we are. This is taking ages, but it is satisfying. The tabs are going to be about this long, which seems to make the curtain the perfect length for the space. I thought this would make a nice curtain for the hallway because obviously all the walls in there are white, and I've been trying to bring in lots of colour through the artwork, and I think the colours in the stripes in this will pick up and accent some of the colours in the artwork nicely. Also, I do really like textiles and like fabric around. It really softens up a space, and I think that this woven wool against the white linen actually feels really nice and fresh and clean. My original plan was to put a curtain kind of quite close to the door in my downstairs hallway rather than having it here on the stairs where I'm putting it now. However, there is a window above the door down there, and I'm not actually sure where I could hang a curtain rod. It'll also be nice that that window and the window in the door itself aren't obstructed too much because they do let a lot of light into that downstairs hallway. However, because the door has got glass panels in it, sometimes I'm going across the top of the hallway after a shower, sans clothes, and I worry that if somebody was walking past at that exact time and looked in, they would potentially see a flash of something they don't want to see. So it'll be nice to have the option to kind of block it off. I'm hoping it will make the upstairs of the flat feel more like cozy and tucked in if the curtains pulled across of an evening. The final reason I wanted to do this is because my cat is not allowed in my downstairs hallway because she has peed down there a few times in the past, and I think it's just better to keep that out of bounds. For years now, I've been using a system of having this wool covered canvas propped at the top of the stairs to block her going down, and it's worked fine. I just move it whenever I'm going up or down the stairs, but it's honestly not the best solution because who really wants a canvas in front of their stairs all the time? I'm hoping that because this curtain is quite heavyweight that it will be enough to block her from going down the stairs. That is just a theory and a hope though. In practice, I don't know whether it's going to work. Okay, it's a short while later and here is our first tab. Obviously it looks a bit messy with the stitching at the moment, but all of that's going to be covered up at the end with a little linen trim. So I'm just going to finish converting all of these into these, add my trim, and I will report back to you in a couple of days time when it's done. It's about a week later and my curtain is finished and hung, and this is how it looks. It's got some fluff and detritus stuck to it at the moment, but I will give it a little lint roll later. For now, I'm just glad that that's done. And I've got to say, it really is an effective draft excluder. It's been up there a few days now, and I've already noticed the difference. And I think it's better for sound insulation as well, which is good for the purposes of filming. So I'm pretty impressed with myself. I was considering doing some sort of design or something along these tabs. I actually think I like them just pure white, with this one being a little bit different with that touch of embroidery on it. I think overall it's a cool looking thing. And the only thing that's left to do for this project now is install this curtain tie back hook, which I got over a year ago from eBay. I actually got a pair of them and I used one of them in my art room. And this second one I think will be perfect here if I just drill it into this wooden wall, because it fits basically all of the curtain behind it and it can just hold it in place like so. So I'm going to quickly install this now. I get really excited to finally be able to put up fixtures that I've bought before and have been hoarding. It feels like finally things in this flat are being put in their place, and it saves me having to store all my stuff like this. So let me get my drill. I love drilling into wood. It's so stress-free. Now I've got some little gold screws so that it matches my hook. Okay, the screws I was going to use are too small for this, so let me find some bigger ones. Much better. Would you look at that? It's the hook on the wall, it's a hook on the wall. I know it is still slightly awkward having this curtain here in the middle of the stairs, but for me it's a good solution and I think I've made the best of it with this. I also think it will look better once the stairs are green, which is the thing we're going to be tackling next. Also, I should say the reason why it's taken me so long between starting this curtain and finishing it is because I am only just recovering from the most painful sinus infection of my life. It was complete agony and put me out of action for almost a full week, because when you're in pain like that, you can't think about anything else, let alone do anything else. You just need to basically lie down and scream into your pillow, which is what I've been doing. But yeah, because of that delay, I've realised I need to rejig my plans for this video slightly. I was going to do all of the stair painting and then all of the smaller art projects and styling in this same video, but I am on a deadline for this one and I don't want to miss out on doing those fun projects or rush them too much to where they don't look good. So what we're going to do is finish off the stairs in this video, do all of the painting. I'll show you how it all looks green, and then we'll do a follow-up video in a few weeks time where I'm doing multiple projects around the space, which I'll talk you through I think a little bit more at the end of this video so you know what's coming. I'm just very excited to be pain-free for the first day in 6 days. So let me get my overalls on and we can start painting. Okay, I've hoovered the stairs again, and now for the moment of truth, opening up this tin of green paint. I can't believe it's taken me 5 years to get to this point, because like I said, I knew from the start that I wanted these stairs to be green. I wasn't always sure that I wanted it to be this shade of green. I was originally thinking more of like a minty colour, because in the last house share I lived in, which I absolutely loved, the stairs were painted this kind of minty pastel green, and even though they were all chipped and like renter worn, I always thought that the green looked so nice. So that was my original thought, but since I've painted all of the doors in this hallway this like pastel-y pink colour, and also because of the quantity of stairs that we're dealing with, I thought that a minty tone in this space would read a little bit too twee. So I went for something slightly more bold, and this is more of like a rich emeraldy forest green, which ties in quite well with the green on my curtain and hopefully will look really nice in this space. This is the Rust-Oleum chalky finish floor paint, which is the same floor paint that I've used in white on the rest of my floorboards. So I know it has a nice like matte kind of finish, which I think is good for stairs because you don't want the stairs to be slippery. I do know that as with most floor paint, this stuff does wear and it does chip after a while, and you have to do fresh coats every now and then. So I wouldn't advise painting floors to people who don't enjoy painting floors, because you won't just do it once, you will do it multiple times. Thankfully for me, my general vibe is quite raggedy, so I don't mind the look of chipped floors in between the times when I coat them. And I think anything is going to look better than how these stairs have looked in the past. So let's get going. I'm so excited to see how this is going to look on the wood. I'm going to start out doing this little flight, and I'm going to see how I go without using tape, because taping off all of these spindles and things is going to be really annoying to do, and I want to avoid doing it. So I'm going to be using 3 different sized paintbrushes for this procedure. If I do one step and I realise that it looks shit without the tape and I need to use tape, then I will just take the time to tape it off, but I'm not going to know that till I start. Actually, let me use this canvas to make sure that we don't get cats running through here. Right, let's just start, shall we, with the first. Ooh. Is that not a lovely colour? I think this is going to look so good. I am so excited. I think I'm going to leave this top lip white up until that bit green. Actually, maybe I'll use my smaller brush for that. Also, I know that this is going to take at least 2 coats for good coverage, maybe even 3. So don't be alarmed by the fact that at present it's a wee bit streaky. Green on the floor feels like a neutral to me. It's just a colour that makes sense underfoot because, you know, grass. My great grandpa used to say that everything goes with green, and if you need proof, just look in the garden. And that's true, because you see every colour of flower alongside green leaves and green grass, and they will look beautiful with it. Painting a floor is super satisfying as well because you get to sit down the whole time. Painting walls can be so tiring, and I find sometimes if I'm up on the ladder craning up for too long, I start getting lightheaded as well. Don't even talk to me about painting ceilings. Floors are definitely the easiest and most fun option once all of the annoying prep work has been done. One good thing about this paint is that because it's water-based kind of chalk paint, it dries really quickly, which is a big deal for floor paint because you're often painting yourself into a corner when you're painting the floor. So this prevents you getting stuck in one area of the flat for too long. This top step's already touch dry, which is good because I can test on this one how many coats we're going to need. If I do another quick coat there now. Might be okay with just 2, you know. Coverage is really good. It is taking quite a long time because I haven't taped, so I'm not sure how many of the stairs I'm going to get to today because I did have to pop out earlier for a couple of hours, and it's a bit later in the afternoon now and I am still recovering from my illness, so I might just do this small flight and maybe this bottom landing and then stop for the day. But maybe by the time I finish this bit I'll actually want to carry on. This type of thing can be quite addictive, seeing the colour slowly spread out. Also, this is how that top bit's looking. I do think 2 coats is going to be enough because that looks pretty good to me. First coat done on those is looking good. And now I'm actually going to do this flight of stairs back down on myself. This bit took ages because I had to go around all of the individual spindles. But this bit should be much speedier because it's just straight lines either side. Okay, so this set of stairs has actually taken longer than I thought, and I'm now very tired and very hungry. So I'm going to call it a day after finishing this step, and we'll be back to do the rest of the first coat and the second coat in a couple of days' time. I'm back a few days later as promised, and I am going to finish painting the stairs today. But I'm doing this little pre-painting message to camera because I am still ill. I thought that the infection had gone away and it doesn't seem to have, so the pain is slowly returning and it's making me feel really stressed and anxious and crazy. So I've started on a new course of antibiotics that I was prescribed today, and hopefully those will kick in shortly. I've taken some painkillers, I've had a hot shower, and I've eaten a banana, and all of that combined will hopefully mean that I can effectively paint my stairs today. However, I fear I will not be able to do that whilst also being chatty and talking to the camera a lot because I just feel like I want to weep. And that's not fun content. So I apologise if the end of this video is going to be a little bit low energy. Sadly, you cannot always account for illness and your body will not always behave in the way you wish it would. But life goes on. I hope that everyone watching is feeling better than I do. Let's get the overalls on and start painting. It's a couple of hours later and I am on a real go slow. I am feeling a bit better now. I think my painkillers have kicked in, but I'm just working incredibly slowly. Also, I realised I didn't have a solid plan on what order to paint these bottom stairs in so that I wouldn't be trapping myself in my downstairs hallway. So I've just been doing an odd couple at a time and then I'll go back in and fill in the gaps. Like I said the other day, it does dry quite quickly, but yeah, that's my update. I think I want to give these stairs a little while to dry before I go in and fill in the gaps. So for now, I think I'm going to move on to doing a second coat on this little flight of stairs. I feel like I need the satisfaction of seeing one bit nicely coated and non-patchy. That is definitely a big improvement over this. Okay. I have just finished the first coat everywhere, including all of those lower steps down this way. So we've got 2 coats there, 1 coat everywhere else. I'm hoping that I have enough energy and enough time left to do a second coat over all the bits that need it so that the painting will be done today. I don't think you need to see any more clips of me painting, so I'm going to do that off camera for the rest of the day. Then I will sit down for an extended period of time and then I will show you the finished result of this paint job in a couple of days' time. Before I show you the finished painted stairs, let's just take a minute to remember what these stairs look like at the beginning of this video, because I was actually really beating myself up yesterday that I hadn't managed to get all of the things done in this video that I'd originally wanted to, and then that spiraled into feeling like I hadn't achieved anything at all. Then I looked back at some clips of these stairs from a couple of weeks ago and was like, oh, actually, yeah, what am I talking about? I've done a lot, because over the last few weeks we have taken this space from this to this. My green stair dreams have finally been realised and I love them. I've got to say I'm very pleased with my paint job on these and I'm quite impressed with myself that I managed to do all of these edges relatively neatly without the use of any tape. The colour's just beautiful and I think it really offsets and accents some of the colours that I've got going on the artwork on the walls, as well of course as that green stripe in my new DIY rug curtain hybrid, which I'm also very pleased with. So far Sunday has been respecting the new boundary drawn up by the curtain and she hasn't yet made her way past it downstairs. So far it's working on that front. I'm also really proud of myself for finally getting this banister sorted too. It looks so much better now, especially actually from the underside. Having it all painted white underneath instead of the patchy wood stain with intermittent paint splatter design which was on it before is such an improvement, and I think that this colour of wood looks so lovely with the green as well. After 5 years of it looking an absolute mess, it's just so nice to see it so healthy and thriving. Even though we're not doing all of the art projects and styling bits in this video, I do want to quickly talk to you about floor coverings for this little landing area here, because I have purchased one. I always knew that I needed some kind of mat or something here because this area just gets so much foot traffic and I do want to try and protect the floor slightly. Obviously the litter tray lives in that corner and I know that Sunday does seem to enjoy kicking litter out beyond the bounds of the tray and that's unlikely to change. So I didn't want to get a fabric rug or something that wasn't going to be wiped clean because that just wouldn't be practical. I was looking at vinyl mats, fake tiles, washable rugs, and I really struggled to find one that I liked in the right size for the space that was going to look good against my green floor. And then finally I found this guy from B&Q, which is like a really heavyweight rubbery material and it's green too, so I think it will match in really well with the floors and not be jarring on the eye, if you know what I mean. It's got these like heart cut out shapes on it, which I would say I feel neutral to positive about. It's cute without being OTT. So let's whack this down and put the litter tray back in place. And voila! Here is our space, semi-finished at least, and ready for the next video, in which we will be doing some art projects and some styling to really pull this all together. I know that in that video I'm going to be tackling some artwork for my now blue shelf and maybe making a little trinket key dish tray thing to go on there as well. I want to make a paper mache mirror which is going to go on this little panelled wall here, and I want to find something to hang on this this weird big nodule hook thing that comes out of the wall. Finally, I'm not sure if you noticed in any of the earlier clips, but this bottom step here does have a hole in it, which I have deliberately not filled at any point over the last 5 years because I want to put something else in it instead. Guess us in the comments what that might be. If you want to see those projects but you aren't yet subscribed, please do consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss the next time I upload. Thank you so much for coming along on this ride with me. Working on this space has required a lot of physical exertion, and there were times during peak sinus/tooth pain that I really didn't think I was ever going to see these stairs painted. But here we are, a happy ending. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in a few weeks' time. Bye!